Okay, as promised, let's bring in General Manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs, Brad Treliving. Hey, Tree, before we get into anything specifically, even someone of your stature could get dumped pretty quickly for an Ohtani announcement. You realize that, right?
Yeah. Hey, just you hit end if that one comes through the wire. I got it. I know where I sit.
Just quickly on that. There's a general manager. Your counterpart in baseball is Ross Atkins right now, and he's going through this incredible process of trying to nail down one of the most greatest talent in baseball history. As a general manager, do you watch that? Would you get envious of being in that type of situation? If you were in that situation, would you enjoy it, or would it just be so stressful?
Well, that's the job, right? I would say I think they're enjoying the heck out of it. If you've got an opportunity to add a talent like that to your team, that's what you're in the business for. So, yeah, they can be stressful. Those processes are long. You're trying to manage it. I know there are reports, and we deal with it all the time. Reports get out there. A lot of it's inaccurate information, so you're trying to manage that process. But to be in the fight and to be right in the middle of the fire, I think that's why you do this job. So I wish them all the very, very best. I have absolutely no clue where that whole process is, but I think it'd be awesome for, obviously, the Jays. It'd be awesome for our city and the country, quite frankly. So, but they're complicated. They're competitive, but if you're at the table, you got a chance.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if it's going to take the Ohtani number to get Willie or not, Brad, but we can get into that a little bit later. I wanted to give you the chance to just talk about the Klingberg situation. That seems to be the news of the day, and I think why you're joining us, kind of what's going on there. We understand that he tried to play, couldn't. What was sort of the process of getting to where you guys are at now with John Klingberg?
Well, you're right, Justin. Obviously, this goes back now several weeks where, John got to a point where, he wasn't able to play. And we had some stops and starts with it. And when you have an injury, it's, there's things you can play through, there's things you can't. And there's a difference between being hurt and injured. And we looked at, is there a way to sort of patchwork it together here? And you saw, going back a few weeks where John would play a couple of games, miss a game, play a game, miss a couple of games. And then the decision was made just to let's hit pause here and see if some time away, both from a rehab perspective and a process that we were going through to see if we could, get John to the point where he could be back, not only playing, but being effective. But in the interim, look at what's going on and what the different options might be. And then ultimately the decision is made that, you have to have surgical intervention here. And, it's certainly disappointing. John's disappointed. He wanted to play. Anytime that it's a big step anytime that you have a surgical procedure. But, in this case where, you're talking on several months in rehab and effectively ending the season, John and ourselves wanted to make sure we took all the time that was necessary to make the right decision. And so that's, we got to that point. And now once you make that decision, you get on with the next steps of getting the surgery set up and get through that procedure and on to rehab. So that's really where it's at.
We're talking to Brad Treliving, General Manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Brad, in the last few years, there have been Stanley Cup champions that have found a way to put guys on LTR and then have them reappear in the playoffs. And, their eyebrows is raised. Obviously, nothing has come of it, but there are some people that have accused Los Angeles or Tampa Bay of circumventing it, the situation. But is it important for general managers today to to air it clean in terms of, dotting their I's, crossing their T's on a situation like this more than ever before?
Well, I think it's like, I can't speak to any other situation, Nick. You know, LTI is there in a cap world where you have a player that's, you know, just what it says, is injured long term, and it allows you, number one, the player's got to meet the criteria to fall under that designation. So, you know, in this case with John, there's no, you know, there's no cuteness here. You know, it's a player that will have a significant, you know, surgical procedure here. So I don't think anybody's going to get into trying to be cute and deal with a significant medical issue that way. But certainly there's, you know, as there is with any rule or regulation, you've got to go through a process. You know, the league is always going to monitor these situations to ensure that there's strict compliance. And but at the end of the day, you know, I would venture to say that most of these, you know, and I can't speak to all the situations out, you know, in other markets or other teams, but, you know, when a player's gone on in this significant time, there's a reason for it. And, you know, whether there's an injury that requires significant rehab, whether there's surgery, you know, that's just the way it is. And, you know, so I think a lot of that gets, you know, there gets to be I think the debate, I don't think there's a whole lot of debate of players going on LTI of any funny business going on here. Like, you go back and you know, there's been some in recent memory here. Those players have had surgery. I mean, they have significant medical issues. I think where the debate comes in, and there has been, is players coming back and then you're effectively playing in the playoffs at a you know, at a roster that exceeds sort of a salary cap. There is no salary cap in the playoffs. So I know there's been some debate about that issue over the last number of years, but, you know, it's pretty clear. You know, those players, any player that's going on LTI, the league is very thorough in terms of following up and ensuring that, you know, that the player complies with that designation. And, you know, that it is what it is. You know, you've got it there, and those players that go on LTI, you know, they're dealing with something of significance.
Brad, so with Klingberg officially out, you know, Liljegren's still not back, Giordano hurt. I've heard you acknowledge that you could use some help on the back end. One of the teams that has help, obviously, the Calgary Flames, your former club. We've seen Zadorov move on already. There's Tanev and Hanifin as names that have come up. Do you anticipate that the way that you left Calgary would have any impact on their interest in trading with you? Do you think that is still a team that would be available to, you know, we could get players from here in Toronto from the Flames? Is that relationship still in good repair there?
Yeah, I'm not going to comment, Justin, on any other players.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I know there's always speculation. I mean, I'm not going to comment on any players in any other teams at any time, and never have, never will. You know, as far as the situation in Calgary, I've got a great relationship with the people in Calgary. You know, the management team there that you deal with, and I would say they're not unlike any other team that you deal with, right? Every team has got the business that they're trying to complete. Not every situation is the same. And so, but, you know, it's none of my business to comment on what any other team is trying to do, other than you know, worry about our business. And, you know, listen, I've made it clear, you know, coming into the season that we would like to see if we can help ourselves on defense. Now, you know, that's a great statement. It's a matter of going out and doing it. And then these are certainly not making excuses. It's the manager's job to go in and improve the team. Now, what we would say is we've had players that we've signed over the offseason, and Lageston and Benoit, that have come in and I think have done a real admirable job. They've come in. I think they're getting better. They're big bodies. They've competed hard. But certainly, you know, where our aspirations are as a team, would we like to improve the defense? Absolutely. It all comes at a cost. You know, there just isn't a lot of high-end defensemen that people are dying to give you for low cost. So you look at the assets that you have in terms of potential trades, and the team here has been trying to win and spend some assets over the last couple of years that teams trying to win do. That's normal course. That's what happens. So you also got to be careful of how far do you chase it, and ultimately what is the cost that you're going to have to pay for somebody that can come in and make a significant difference. And so we'll continue to work that market. That's I'm not making any headline statement here. I mean, we're no different than anybody else. Every team at this time of the year is trying to improve themselves. We've gone through, it was an area that we were looking to try to help ourselves before. We've had a lot of injuries in that area. We've had players that come in, and I give them a lot of credit for how they're playing. We're hopeful that we're going to, that help is on the way in the not too distant future with some of the players that are out that are returning to health. And in the meantime, we'll continue to look to see if there's ways that, that we can help ourselves at a cost that we think makes sense. And, I guess the interesting part is when you look at, just the timing of which there's, just this at this early stage in the year, you're talking about a lot of teams that are still, people are trying to figure out where they are, what they are as a team, where they're going to sit. We're a long ways away from the trade deadline and you see obviously that's the deadline, the last time you can make trades. But, for the most part, teams have solidified themselves as buyers or sellers. We still got a lot of runway. It's early in the season. We're just past the 20-game mark. So we'll continue to work it and see if there's a way to improve an area that we'd like to improve.
One more, Brad, and I promise I'll let you go here. It's projected that the salary cap, speaking of cost, will be up towards $88 million next year. Is that a good and bad case scenario for you? Good that you got more money, but bad that you got to give it all to Willie?
Well, it's good news that there's going to be growth. I mean, we all know that, all of us, all the teams have gone through, it's been a stagnant cap really for lack of a better term. There really hasn't been any growth as we've gone through the last number of years. So to have, to be in a position where there's growth, I think is a positive thing for sure. And certainly we have Willie to sign. I mean, that's I've stated it, anytime I've asked, is that's our sole objective is to try to get him signed. We continue to work at that. And then, apart from that, we have decisions to make elsewhere. And we continue to balance as we talk about the now with respect to the defense and the injury with John and the such, with, knowing what's coming on the books next year and what the cap situation is. So we'll continue to work that puzzle. We'll be happy with any increase. The fact that cap's moving up is a positive thing. Now it's our job to figure out how we best utilize it.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed the last few days in between games because it sounds like you're going to get real busy here soon. Brad, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, we got to get back playing.
Yep, absolutely. Okay.
Thanks, Brad. Appreciate your time.
Okay, guys. Thanks for having me on.